I didn't even know what an interior designer was. I had to ask Jeeves. Welcome to today's weekday refill. This is part 2 of my testimony about how I became an interior designer. Today I'm going to share how I pursued the call relentlessly, even when I didn't understand. I'm going to date myself here for a moment. Way back when the internet was, in my opinion, just starting out. I mean, people had the internet, but we didn't have the internet like that until at this point in time, right? And so when I was in college at Spelman, and I'm sitting in that dorm room and I'm trying to figure out why I'm failing and why everything in life is horrible because I'm failing, and I look over at Nikki and I say out of my mouth, when I get to be in my 30s, I'm gonna have a life crisis and be an interior designer. Now, you're gonna hear me tell this so many times over, and yes, I did have a life crisis in my 30s. And yes, that's when I became really began to walk in the greatness that God has laid out for me as a designer. It's been a journey. Nikki looked at me from across the room and she was like, my friend, why don't you do that now? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I have never even heard of an interior designer before. So I'm not sure where this came from. It just felt like it fell from the sky. What I know now in my relationship with the Lord is that the Lord literally spoke through me, because he was like, daughter, you are not doing what I formed and fashioned you for. You are about to change your major from biology pre-med to be a pediatric cardiologist to pre-law, because you want to do what your parents think is successful. And so, following what my friend was sharing with me to do, I got up from my bed and went to 2 feet over to where my desk was and sat down on my gateway, okay? And I asked Jeeves, I said, hey Jeeves, can you please tell me what an interior designer is? And so Jeeves gives me no information, right? Nothing. It's just a whole bunch of advertisements for schools. I don't know if y'all remember if that's how the internet looked back then, but you couldn't search for nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. And so all these schools came up. So I said, well, I guess that this is a career that I have to go to school for. And so I began to pick up the phone. And I was like, I'm going to call people, and I'm going to call designers and design firms. Maybe there's interior design firms in the phone book, right? So I'm going to call some interior design firms, and I'm going to find out, if you were to be hiring, where would you choose a student from, whatever school they went to. Do you think the people responded to me well? No, they did not. They did not respond to me well. In fact, the people wanted to behave as if there was some top secret information and they didn't want to tell me. Or they wanted to say, well, we're not hiring. We're not hiring. We're not hiring. I'm not asking you to hire me today. I'm asking you, of the schools that are available, what schools would you hire from? Should you hire from a school? That's it. That's the question. Finally, after calling and calling and calling and calling so many places, I got on the line with, I believe it was about 3 designers that were willing to tell me a school. 2 said the Art Institute of Atlanta. 1 said SCAD Design, which is just outside of Atlanta. And so I went and I applied for the Art Institute of Atlanta. Now, that was the beginning of my journey to persistence. And that was the beginning of my journey to pursue my calling. And you would think, all right, I researched, I found the place, everything is going to be good and gravy. I'm going to transfer schools right away, and I'm just going to, everything is going to be amazing. That's what I thought, okay? But what I have come to find out, that every opportunity that God gives us to learn a lesson and to dig in, He takes that opportunity. And I really feel like, as I am going through and sharing this now, that the Lord was really like, are you really serious about what it is that I'm telling you to do? And I had to prove it, y'all. Why did I have to prove it? Because my stepfather was like, oh no, you can't go. If y'all remember, I'm in college. My mother passed away in the fall of 1998, and specifically in really the winter of 1998, in November. And my stepfather was like, ain't no way you are about to leave Spelman College, where I remember your mother talking about over and over again how much she wanted you to go to this school, and you applied early acceptance, and you got accepted. You're not leaving this school to go be an artist? To go do art? No. The answer is no. You are ruining your life. This is a horrible decision. You're destroying your life. You're just taking a match and you setting it on fire. It's awful. And that was it, right? So I was so disappointed. And I remember sitting in my room and thinking to myself, Lord, you told me to do this. And now, remember, I'm 19, okay? I'm a baby in the faith, all right? And I'm like, man, what in the world? Like, you told me, like, I didn't decide that I wanted to be an interior designer. You told me to be an interior designer. So what do you want me to do then? How am I going to deal with him? And this is what I did. For the next, what felt like a year, I had the admissions counselor call my stepfather on the phone. We were on the 3-way call. Okay. And I called both of those men, and I had them on the line, and I would have my stepdad ask questions, and I had to like drum up and ask some of my own questions to get him even interested in asking questions, because he had zero interest in me leaving Spelman. Okay. But I had him ask questions. You tell me why you're not interested in this. I bugged this man so much. And then in the meantime, you think I was still pre-law? No. I had changed my major again, and I changed it to art, because I was like, I'm not playing with y'all. I am leaving this school. Y'all just need to get the memo, because the Lord already told me I needed to go. So I had changed my major to art. I was taking art classes because I just felt like that was going to prepare me somehow for interior design. And I think I took a dance class too, because I was like, I'm not playing with y'all. The Lord doesn't want me to be a doctor or a lawyer, and I'm not about to spend and waste my time doing pre-med and pre-law things. So I didn't. So finally, after what felt like a long time, and it really was a long time, it took an entire calendar year later, did I leave Spelman in January of 2001. And I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta, where I had already been accepted the year before. And I was able to begin school there. And my first class was architectural drafting by hand. All right. I do a lot of CAD drafting now. Occasionally, I do go back to hand drafting because I adore it. I adore analog. But nonetheless, my first class was architectural drafting. And I sat down in school. And remember, I started this video off by saying I had no idea what interior design was. Because Jeeves and the internet was not as smart as Yahoo, MSN, or definitely not as smart as Google at this point in time. I had no idea what interior design was. I don't even recall spending any time really researching the industry or the career or anything like that. I was more focused in getting to the school that I needed to go to so that I can get the education. And I figured I didn't know what I didn't know, but I didn't need to know what design was because God, who knows me, knew what design was, and he knew what he fashioned me for. And so I would find out once I got there. And find out once I got there was exactly what happened. I sat down in that class, that first day of class, and I found out how scientific and technical design really is. And y'all, I realized in that moment just how much my father cared for me and how he had formed and shaped me. I went back to my dorm room after that class and I cried a little. I prayed and I thanked God because I knew after day one the reason why I couldn't be a doctor or I couldn't be a lawyer. I'm very scientific. I am very methodical. I'm very strategic. All things that are well in medicine and that also work well in law. I also am very caring. I love people. I want to see the best in people. Again, the reason why I was always interested in medicine and secondarily law. I was on the debate team in school. Nonetheless, I was very much interested in these very hard-edged, scientific, analytical things. And when I sat down in architectural drafting and I realized that I could be analytical, care about people, and creative, that was like a trifecta. And I realized how cool it was that God was like, my child, this is not for you, but this is for you. As we wrap up today's weekday refill, I'm reminded that I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that God has called to do something scary or unknown. I'm reminded that I'm not the only one that doesn't have clarity or doesn't know where they're going when they receive the call. But what I am reminded, especially when I read through scripture, I'm reminded of Abraham. And when Abraham left his home because God said, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to make you a father of many nations. I'm going to give you children as many as the stars. And he and his wife had none. And they were old. Like the odds were against them. I'm reminded that when he left where he was comfortable, got his family packed up, all of his cattle, all of his man and woman servants, the whole kit and caboodle, and went out and said, let's go this way. Where we going, Abram? I don't know. The Lord will tell us when we get there. When we get there. And every day he went to sleep. And every day he woke up. And he had to relentlessly pursue that. And if he could do it, I know I can do it. If Christ can do what he did for us, then I know that I can relentlessly pursue the call that he gave me for him and his glory. And so can you. What are you pursuing? What has God called you to do? Are you chasing after it? Are you running it down? Are you making sure that when you leave this earth, that you have done everything the Lord has called you to do? Let me know. Let's talk about it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've made it this far, I'll be back tomorrow for part 3 of my testimony. And there's more to share, y'all. I've been in this for 20 years. And it's not all been peaches and roses. It's been a lot of thorns and rocks. And tomorrow I'll share a little bit about those. But until then, stay blessed. Make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, like all of those YouTube things. And I will see you here tomorrow.